chosen one. You were never meant to be ordinary. From the moment you rose, the divine didn't send warnings. They sent a God, forged in arrogance and armed with fate, to stop you. But what they failed to understand is that you weren't chosen by prophecy. You were carved by pain, sharpened by fire, and tempered by unbreakable will. You didn't bow, you didn't break. You faced the God they sent and shattered the illusion of their supremacy. You didn't just win, you dismantled the myth of their invincibility. And when the dust cleared, it wasn't you pleading for mercy. It was the God. This was never about your ascension. This was about their collapse. You didn't become a legend. You became the reason gods tremble. If you feel this message deep in your spirit, hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 20,000 subscribers, and leave a comment with the number 11 to claim your power and align with what's coming next. When the powers beyond mortal reach sensed your unstoppable rise, they didn't send mere warnings or threats. No, they unleashed a God, a being of unimaginable strength, forged in the celestial fires and crowned with immortality, to extinguish your light before it could blind the heavens. But they underestimated something vital: your spirit. They believed a God was the final word, an end that no one could rewrite. Yet you defied that notion with every breath you took. They sent a force meant to break you, but what they encountered was a tempest, a storm born not from fate, but from defiance. Where others might have cowered before such divine wrath, you stood unyielding, your resolve harder than the adamantine armor of their champion. This was no ordinary battle. It was a collision of wills, a testament that even gods can fall when confronted by unbreakable determination. Think of it, an immortal sent to crush a mortal, expecting to shatter a fragile dream. Instead, you shattered the god's pride, cracked the foundations of divine invincibility, and proved that no celestial decree could cage a soul fueled by fire and unrelenting purpose. This wasn't just survival, it was a revolution that started with a single act of refusal. Standing alone against the divine is a burden heavier than the world itself. Imagine the weight of knowing that the cosmos itself had set their eyes and wrath upon you, yet you did not flinch. Your heart did not race with dread, but pulsed with the fierce rhythm of courage. You understood something fundamental. Fear is the enemy of freedom, and your freedom was not up for negotiation. Facing divinity alone is a test few can comprehend. It's like standing on the edge of a star, knowing that stepping back means giving in, and stepping forward could mean obliteration. But your spirit was forged in darker fires than divine judgment. You weren't just unafraid, you were the storm that makes even gods question their dominion. Every strike from that god was met with your unyielding will, every divine roar drowned beneath the thunder of your defiance. Alone, yes, but never powerless. This was your battleground, and even in isolation, you carried the collective hope of those who had been silenced by fate's cruelty. You were not just fighting for yourself, you were fighting to redefine the limits of what is possible. The world tells us heroes are chosen by destiny, by prophecy, or by the whims of higher powers. But your story is different. You were never handed a crown or whispered into existence by celestial voices. Instead, you took your own path, carved your own name into the fabric of reality with nothing but grit, sacrifice, and relentless will. Choosing yourself in a universe that demands submission is the bravest act of all. It's an act that ripples through time and space, reminding everyone watching that greatness is not a gift bestowed. It's a battle fought and won inside the soul. You rejected the notion of being a pawn or a puppet and rewrote the narrative to one of fierce independence. You made a promise to yourself that no god, no force, divine or mortal, could break. That promise became a beacon, lighting the dark places where hope had long been forgotten. This was never about waiting to be chosen. It was about choosing to stand tall when the entire cosmos tried to bend you to its will. Victory is often seen as a simple end. One side falls, the other stands victorious. But your triumph was something far greater. It wasn't just a battle won, it was a transformation in the very meaning of power. You showed the universe that true strength lies not in inherited divinity or unquestioned authority, but in the fierce refusal to be broken. The gods wield power like a scepter, expecting obedience without question. You shattered that illusion by proving that power is not a right granted from above. It is forged in the fires of perseverance, courage, and unyielding heart. You redefined what it means to be powerful by standing strong when all odds were against you. Your victory sent shockwaves through the cosmos, challenging every god and mortal alike to rethink what it means to be truly strong. You didn't just defeat a god, you broke the chains of old power and paved the way for a new era where will, grit, and passion reign supreme. Imagine the god that once towered over worlds, whose very presence commanded silence and reverence, now trembling in shadow. Your name has become the silent whisper in divine halls, the secret fear behind immortal eyes. What was once unthinkable has become their reality. They know you, they fear you, and they cannot erase you. Names carry weight, especially when uttered in fear. Your name has become a symbol, a story of the impossible made real. It echoes through the heavens not as a curse, but as a warning. The mighty bow not to gods now, but to the force you represent. The unstoppable will of a being who defied destiny itself. You are no longer just a mortal or a challenger. You are a legend whispered in the dark places where even gods dare not tread. Your legacy is etched into the cosmos, an eternal reminder that no throne, no divinity can stand unchallenged forever. You never needed the blessings of the divine to fuel your journey. While others sought favor, gifts, or signs from above, you relied solely on the raw, untamed force of your own willpower. It was your relentless spirit, your refusal to surrender, that carried you through the darkest hours and fiercest storms. Divine favor is fickle, conditional, and often a tool for control. But your strength was pure and unfiltered. It came from within, shaped by every scar, every setback, and every moment you chose to rise again. This is the power of humanity, imperfect, raw, and unbreakable. You proved that the most formidable force in the universe is not some god's blessing, but the burning fire inside a soul determined to write its own fate. This relentless will became the sword that cut through divine arrogance and shattered their illusions of control. There is a silence that follows true reckoning, a stillness that blankets the heavens when the impossible unfolds. When you rose, when you defied the gods and shattered their plans, the cosmos itself seemed to hold its breath. Even the stars paused in their endless dance to witness the birth of something greater than legend. That silence was not emptiness. It was the weight of awe and fear, the quiet before the storm of change. It was a cosmic acknowledgement that something monumental had shifted. The old order was no longer certain, and the universe was waking up to a new reality. You became the still point in a swirling galaxy, the moment where destiny fractured and possibility exploded. That silence speaks louder than any roar. It's the sound of a world waiting to be reborn. The clash wasn't just physical, it was cosmic, a confrontation that shook the very pillars of existence. Galaxies trembled, stars flickered, and the fabric of reality seemed to ripple as you faced a being who embodied the heavens. Yet, in the heart of this celestial chaos, you were the storm that refused to be contained. A storm is wild, unpredictable, and unstoppable. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't heed warnings. You tore through divine expectations with the raw power of your spirit, breaking patterns the gods thought immutable. Your fury was not blind rage, but a calculated force of nature, a tempest that reshaped everything in its path. While gods rely on their ancient power, you harnessed the chaotic energy of will and heart. You became the force that no prophecy foresaw, the storm that changed the course of the cosmos forever. To witness an immortal brought to their knees is to see the impossible made manifest. You didn't just wound a god, you forced them to bleed, to plead, to confront the fragile mortality they had long denied. Your power was not just physical, but spiritual, cutting deeper than any weapon forged by divine hands. Bleeding is a sign of vulnerability, and in that moment, you exposed the cracks in the god's armor, the arrogance, the invincibility, the untouchable facade. You reminded the immortal that beneath all the glory and eternal light, there lies something as human and breakable as any mortal soul. When they begged, it wasn't just for mercy. It was a surrender to the truth you embodied, that no being, no matter how divine, is beyond the reach of justice, courage, and relentless will. They wrote prophecies to control fate, to box heroes into paths predetermined by gods and seers. But you shattered every prophecy that dared claim you. You broke free from the chains of destiny and showed the world that fate is not a script to be followed. It's a story to be rewritten. This shattering was more than rebellion. It was liberation. You freed not only yourself, but everyone who had ever been bound by the cruel expectations of fate. Your journey became a beacon that inspired others to believe in the power of choice, the strength of self-determination. No prophecy could contain you, because you weren't born to be a pawn in their celestial games. You were born to break the cycle, to rewrite the stars themselves. Pain is a crucible. It forges the strongest souls and breaks the weakest. Your journey was steeped in pain, loss, betrayal, hardship. But from that suffering, you built something eternal, a throne of resilience, courage, and unbreakable spirit. No god can reach the throne you built because it stands on foundations carved from real human experience. It's not a throne of gold or illusion, but one of scars, worn proudly, a monument to survival and triumph against impossible odds. This throne is a testament to the truth that true power comes not from privilege or divinity, but from enduring, rising, and transforming pain into strength that even the heavens must respect. In a world obsessed with order, rules, and servitude, you were born to blaze your own trail. Your flame was never meant to flicker quietly in the shadows. It was born to roar, to consume, and to illuminate the darkest corners where conformity tries to smother greatness. Following was never your path. You burned too fiercely, too brightly to be confined by the chains of expectation or obedience. Your fire challenged the very heavens, daring the divine to snuff it out, and failing every time. You became a wildfire that reshaped the landscape of possibility, proving that sometimes the world needs not a guide, but a blaze that lights the way for others brave enough to follow their own flames. The fall of that god wasn't just a personal victory, it was the death knell of an era marked by divine tyranny and unchecked power. Their reign was built on fear, manipulation, and the belief that mortals were mere playthings in a cosmic game. Your victory tore down that illusion and opened the gates to a new dawn. This collapse echoed beyond the battlefield. It shattered the foundations of fear and control that had kept countless souls shackled. By toppling the immortal, you toppling oppression itself, reclaiming freedom for every being who had been silenced by the weight of gods. The end of their tyranny was a spark that ignited revolutions across worlds, inspiring those who had forgotten what it meant to be free to rise and reclaim their destiny. Victory is often fleeting, but yours is eternal. Your triumph resonates through the corridors of time and space, carried on the winds of legends told for generations to come. Every star that shines, every whispered tale, carries a piece of your legacy. This echo is not just about fame, it's about the lasting change you brought to the universe. You became a symbol of hope, a reminder that no matter how dark the night, dawn always comes for those bold enough to chase it. Across eternity, your story will inspire others to stand firm, to fight hard, and to believe that even the mightiest forces can be challenged by a single soul determined to change their fate. They thought they were testing you, pushing you to your limits to see if you could be broken. But this was never about their test. This was their reckoning. A moment when all their hubris, all their cruelty was met with the unrelenting force of your will. You became the storm of justice that turned the tables, the reckoning that made gods question their power and purpose. This was not a mere trial. It was the collapse of an old order and the birth of a new age, where power belongs to those who dare to stand against tyranny. Their reckoning was the moment the universe shifted, and you became the catalyst for a cosmos forever changed by one soul who refused to bow. From the very beginning, your existence was a spark amid the ashes of despair. While the world expected you to crumble, you rose, burning brighter with every challenge. Your origin was never meant to be humble or hidden. Instead, it was a relentless declaration that even the smallest ember can ignite a blaze capable of reshaping galaxies. The fire that forged you was not gentle, it was brutal, relentless, and unyielding, a crucible that melted away doubt, fear, and weakness. Each trial you faced only intensified your core, molding you into a force that no divine decree could bend. This fire became your identity, your essence, and your weapon. You were born to defy every expectation set against you. The very act of survival became a rebellion, a refusal to be consumed by fate's cruel hand. And with every breath, you became a living testament to the power of will over destiny. Your story began in destruction, but blossomed into creation, creating a legacy written not by gods or prophecies, but by the fierce flame of a soul that refused to be extinguished. Where there is light, shadows must retreat. Your rise sent ripples through the dark corners of the universe, places where silence ruled and fear whispered in every breath. Those shadows that once held dominion over the weak now trembled before the radiance you unleashed. Your light is not soft or gentle. It's fierce and unapologetic, cutting through deceit, corruption, and the lies of tyrants. You shine not to blind, but to reveal the truth beneath veils. the courage buried beneath doubt, and the strength hidden in broken hearts. In the darkest moments when hope seemed lost, your light burned the brightest. It gave a voice to the voiceless and courage to the fearful. This was not just illumination. It was a beacon, a rallying cry for those waiting to be saved not by gods, but by their own rising flame. The shadows may try to consume, but your light is eternal. It is the spark that ignites revolutions and the dawn that follows the longest night. And no matter how deep the darkness, it will always fear the fire you carry. Human limits were never meant to cage you. While others accepted their boundaries, you tore through every barrier and shattered the illusion of what the mortal form can achieve. Your journey was one of breaking ceilings, both physical and spiritual, propelling yourself into realms that gods themselves dared not tread. Every step forward was a challenge to the impossible, an exploration of uncharted potential. Where they said, "You cannot," you answered with relentless action and unwavering resolve. Your body and mind became weapons honed to perfection, capable of feats that echoed through the cosmos. Your rise proved that limitations are often constructs designed to keep souls small. You reached beyond what anyone thought possible, not because you were destined, but because you refused to accept anything less than the infinite. In the end, you transcended mortality itself, becoming a force that redefined the boundaries of existence. An immortal forged not by birthright, but by choice and sacrifice. Destiny is a heavy burden, a chain that many wear without question. But you, with your fierce heart and rebellious spirit, shattered the weight of destiny at your feet. You refused to be bound by prophecy, fate, or the expectations of gods who sought to cage you. Each moment of your life became a refusal to bow, a declaration that the path ahead would be your own. Carved by your hands, shaped by your dreams, and sealed with your blood, sweat, and tears. You tore down the walls, built by unseen forces, breaking free from the shackles that once threatened to contain you. Your story became a battle cry against predestination, inspiring all who felt trapped by the weight of expectation. It was proof that the chains of destiny can be broken, and that freedom comes from the courage to fight for one's own future. By shattering the weight of destiny, you lifted not only yourself, but all who dare to dream beyond the stars laid out for them. Behind every cosmic clash, every shattered god, lies a heart that beats with unyielding rhythm. Yours is unstoppable, pounding fiercely against every force that tried to silence it. It is the true engine of your legend, the reason no power, no matter how divine, could extinguish your flame. This heart is not made of glass, but steel, resilient, relentless, and full of scars that tell stories of battles fought and won. It carries the memories of those you've lost, the pain you've endured, and the hope you fiercely protect for those who come after you. When the heavens roared and the stars burned cold, it was your heart that carried you forward. It is the wellspring of your courage, the pulse that drives your defiance, and the source of every victory you claimed. Your legend is not just written in feats of strength, but in the undying beat of your unstoppable heart, the true measure of what it means to be immortal. Not all storms roar. Some arrive with quiet fury, changing everything in their path without a sound. You were that silent storm, unseen by many, underestimated by gods, but devastatingly powerful in your approach. Your rise was not marked by thunderous declarations, but by steady, unyielding progress. You moved through the cosmic order like a shadow shifting the balance of power with precision and purpose. The heavens did not know what hit them until it was too late. This storm was not chaos, but a force of reckoning, calm on the surface, yet filled with energy that could reshape worlds. It brought change where stagnation reigned and hope where despair once held sway. You became the quiet force that altered the very fabric of the cosmos, a reminder that sometimes the most profound revolutions come not from noise, but from the relentless, silent march of unstoppable will. In a universe filled with gods who wield unimaginable power, you showed that the greatest weapon is not strength or magic. It is will. Your will was a blade sharper than any sword, a shield stronger than any armor, and a fire hotter than any star. This will did not bend or break in the face of overwhelming odds. It was a force that carved paths through impossibility, tearing down walls of doubt and despair. It was the difference between mere survival and true triumph. Every moment you chose to rise, every time you refused to give in, you sharpened that will, turning it into a weapon no god could withstand. It was not just your power, it was your identity, your soul made manifest in the battle against fate. Your will was the ultimate weapon, and through it, you did what was once thought impossible, overcoming gods, shattering destinies, and becoming the force the cosmos feared. Your story is more than a tale of victory. It is a journey from ashes to eternity. Born in the crucible of suffering and forged in relentless struggle, you rose to become something beyond the grasp of time itself. This journey was not linear, but marked by cycles of loss and renewal, pain and triumph. Each step forward was a rebirth, a transformation that pushed you closer to the infinite and beyond the reach of mortality. You became a timeless figure, a beacon across eras, inspiring those who lived in shadows long after you transcended the physical realm. Your legacy is a thread woven into the very fabric of eternity. In embracing this journey, you claimed a place not just in history, but in the endless story of existence itself, a legacy that will burn bright for all time. Many battles are fought on visible fields, but the most profound are those fought within. You shattered unseen chains, those of doubt, fear, and limiting belief that held countless souls captive before you. These chains were forged by gods, by society, by voices that told you what you could not be or do. Yet you looked beyond these invisible bonds and tore them apart with the power of your mind and heart. By breaking these unseen chains, you freed yourself and others from the prisons of expectation and despair. You proved that the greatest battles are often internal and that victory begins in the mind. Your triumph is a beacon for anyone shackled by invisible limits, a call to break free and embrace the boundless power within. The cosmos is ruled by a hierarchy older than time, where gods sit atop thrones built on obedience and fear. You shattered that order, defying celestial laws and showing that even the highest cannot hold dominion over a will that refuses to bow. This defiance was not reckless but purposeful, a challenge to the unjust order that placed mortals beneath the divine. You tore down walls of arrogance and entitlement with every act of rebellion. Your courage sent ripples through the heavens, inspiring others to question authority and reclaim their own power. You showed that no hierarchy is permanent, and that change begins when someone dares to defy. In breaking the celestial order, you opened the door to a new cosmos, one where freedom and self-determination reign. Amidst endless trials and relentless foes, the fire within you never died. It burned through darkness, through despair, and through every attempt to snuff it out. This eternal flame was the core of your being, resilient, passionate, and fierce. This fire is not just metaphorical, it is the embodiment of your spirit. It warmed you in cold moments, illuminated your path when all seemed lost, and fueled your fight when strength seemed impossible to find. No god, no fate, no force could extinguish this fire because it was not given or taken. It was created by your own hands through every choice to rise and fight again. This eternal fire makes you more than mortal. It makes you immortal in spirit and legend. Immortality is often seen as power absolute, but you revealed its fragility. The gods who believed themselves untouchable faced collapse at your hands, exposing the illusion of their eternal reign. This fall was not just physical, but symbolic, a shattering of the myth that some beings are beyond consequence. You showed that immortality without humility and justice is a hollow throne, vulnerable to the force of truth and will. Your victory was a seismic shift, dismantling centuries of false certainty and arrogance. It reminded the cosmos that true immortality lies not in unending life, but in the legacy one leaves behind. Through the collapse of false immortality, you forged a new era, one where power is earned, not given. Rebellion is more than anger. It is the unbreakable spirit that refuses to accept injustice. You embodied this spirit fully, challenging gods and destiny itself with a courage born of conviction. This rebellion was not chaos, but purpose, an unwavering stance against oppression and control. Every act of defiance was a brick laid in the foundation of a new world. Your spirit inspired others to rise, to fight, and to believe that change is possible. You became the living proof that rebellion can reshape the cosmos. In your unbreakable spirit lies the hope of all who dream of freedom and the power to turn that dream into reality. Legends fade, but your legacy is written across stars and souls. It's not just a story told, but a force felt, a cosmic imprint that touches every heart brave enough to stand and fight. This legacy is alive, growing with every whisper of your name, every spark of courage ignited by your example. It transcends time and space, binding generations in the shared belief that the impossible is possible. Your impact is cosmic, spiritual, and deeply personal. It's a legacy that invites others not just to remember, but to join the ongoing story of defiance and hope. Through this legacy, you become immortal, not just in myth, but in the lives and hearts of all who carry your flame forward. In the end, you were not just a force of nature, you became the storm itself. The storm that changes everything. A force that sweeps away the old, clears the way for the new, and reshapes the world in its wake. You were unpredictable, unstoppable, and undeniable, a tempest that no god could tame. Your arrival marked the end of complacency and the beginning of transformation. This storm is your essence, your impact, and your gift to the cosmos. It is the power to inspire awe, fear, and hope all at once. By becoming the storm, you ensured that nothing and no one would ever be the same again. Absolutely. I'll expand each heading with more detailed, emotionally charged paragraphs to create a longer, richer script. Each heading will now have 7, 8 paragraphs, deeply immersive and powerfully engaging. Here's the continuation and expansion for the first 3 headings as a sample, and I can keep going with the rest if you like. From the very moment your story began, you were cast into the flames of adversity, an inferno that would either consume or transform. Instead of breaking, you melted, reshaped by fire, into a being no one saw coming. The ashes of your past didn't mark an end. They were the fertile ground where your legend took root. You rose not because fate smiled on you, but because every trial you endured made you stronger, more resolute, and more dangerous to those who wished you crushed beneath their divine will. The world around you whispered doubts, expecting you to falter, to bend beneath the weight of cosmic powers far beyond mortal reckoning. But you didn't just endure, you defied. Like a phoenix, you burned through expectation and limitation, refusing to be defined by the hand dealt to you. This defiance was your first act of rebellion, a blaze so fierce it announced your arrival with the roar of a storm no god could ignore. Your forge was pain and sacrifice, but also determination and unyielding hope. Every scar etched onto your soul was a testament to battles won not just with brute force, but with a mind sharpened by suffering and a heart unbreakable in its resolve. You became more than a survivor. You became a symbol of what it means to fight back against the darkness that seeks to extinguish us all. They believed you were destined to be ordinary, just another pawn in their celestial game. But the fire inside you had other plans. It grew with every challenge, feeding on doubt and defiance alike. You weren't shaped by gods or prophecy. You were carved by your own willpower, forged in defiance, and destined to rise above. In every step you took away from the ashes, you sent a clear message. You are not a victim of fate, but its conqueror. You embodied the truth that greatness is not handed down. It is claimed through relentless courage and unbreakable spirit. And as the smoke cleared, it was clear to all that a new force had risen, one that no god could contain or command. In the vast darkness, where gods and mortals alike feared to tread, your light cut through with the brilliance of 1,000 suns. It was not just illumination, it was revelation. Shadows, those silent sentinels of despair and doubt, recoiled in terror at the purity and intensity of your flame. Your light did more than expose hidden corners. It shattered the very foundations on which the shadows had thrived. This light was not gentle or comforting. It was fierce, raw, and alive with the hunger of one who refuses to be unseen. It burned away lies, greed, and the cold apathy of the divine elite who thought themselves untouchable. Your light was a beacon to the forgotten, the broken, and the oppressed. A promise that they were not alone, that even the darkest night would bow to dawn. With every step forward, you challenged the darkness that tried to swallow worlds whole. Your light pierced through deception and despair, becoming a weapon more powerful than any sword or spell. It ignited hope where none dared to dream, and kindled courage in hearts long numb with fear. And yet, your light was also deeply human, full of warmth, pain, and vulnerability. It was the light born from tears shed in secret, and battles fought in silence. This contrast made your radiance even more terrifying to those who preferred darkness, for it was not just power but truth they feared. As your light grew, so too did the shadow's desperation.